Welcome back to the Historica Vertica channel. Today, we're going to be talking about a son of Sanguinius, Dante, and how he grew into the Lord Commander. We are starting off with where he was born, and his childhood, and his journey to become a space marine, as well as his early years as a blood angel. Then, we are going to talk about the first two tips that Dante has taught me, and then we will be talking about the devastation of Baal before, during, and after, and some of the current lore of Dante, then finishing up with the last two tips and how we can apply them. Let's start with how he became the oldest space marine in the universe. He was born on Bal Secundus with the name Luis, before he ascended into the ranks of the Emperor's Angels. Luis was not special. He had the same life as all Balites, with pockmarked skin. Also, his growth was stunted due to malnutrition. His mother died when he was young, and his father raised him, and during the time he told him about the legendary Blood Angels and the history of the Balite civilization, while his tribe was in the great salt waste of Bal Secundus. He said to his father that he would be a Blood Angel. He left his father to go on a path to become a Blood Angel. The trip to Angel's Fall was a long and hard one due to the dangers in the wasteland between his caravan and the capital. But this didn't stop Luis. With his resolve, he was able to cross the wastes after several days, possibly due to his resilience and determination to become a part of the Emperor's finest warriors. Along his journey to Angel's Fall, he fought and killed a patch spider and almost sunk into a sandpit. And there was a time where he almost perished due to the heat that overheated his weakened body. But a golden being saved him and pointed him to another person who wanted to be a space marine. And Lewis scavenged his remains for food and water and moved to the edge of the great salt wastes. He arrived in a cliff area. After exiting the wide open wasteland, he encountered two other boys who were trying to become space marines. He was worried that they would kill him and take his stuff, because they did view him as weak, but they eventually helped each other. One of the boys, whose name was Daniel, died from the thirst water, which he couldn't control due to the mountain sickness clouding his mind. After the death of Daniel, it was Lewis and the other boy, who was named Florian. They both arrived at Angel's Fall, and he met another aspirant named Lorenz, who looked down on Lewis at first, but eventually respected the fellow boy. After he went through the trials of the Blood Angels, he didn't show anything special among the aspirants that arrived at the first steps to transcendence. He did show his resolve, however. At the trial of war, he led a force of aspirants to victory with amazing confidence and a clear mind, which was needed for the future. But during the trial, he was disgusted with the mindless and senseless bloodshed of the other aspirants. But surprisingly, this disgust was only a test for Dante. He had to choose to kill Florian, and he decided not to kill his friend and brother who took him in and helped him get to the trials, because it was against his morals, and like before, he was disgusted by the death of fellow aspirants in the trials before. As the chaplain told Dante about Florian's failure and poor morals, and him choosing to kill Luis to become a blood angel, he was rejected. Dante chose well, and his fate was sealed in the Blood Angels chapter, because he possessed the morals of Sanguinius' gentle side. He was transported to the Arx Angelicum on Baal, and he realized that his dream had come true and became a blood angel. The final trial, before he drank the blood of Sanguinius, he and the other aspirants had to stand vigil in the chapel of the Arx Angelicum for 3 days and 3 nights, and if they failed, they would be taken away for a cruel fate. The golden being that helped him in the waste reappeared at that moment and gave Dante strength to push through. Dante did pass. Then he drank the blood of Sanguinius, becoming entombed in a coffin. For a year, he slept in the coffin dreaming of the memories of Sanguinius. It is also recorded that he was the most violent slumber of the Blood Angels in living record, never being truly awake or truly asleep. After awakening, he lifted the cover of his sarcophagus. His body transformed from the slumber and his organ placement had gone through. His ball-like features were gone, and the angelic features of Sanguinius upon his face. Small detail to mention that the sanguinary priest forgot to record that his coffin had scratch marks on the inside. The priest saw this as a sign that it would be the descent of Dante into the red thirst and black rage, but others saw his perfection after what he did in the coffin, and a sign for his greatness to come. As Dante was looking at his new form, he and the other blood angels heard and saw that one of the neophytes fell to the black rage and started to attack a servitor, which the chaplain that was with his group had to kill the crazed neophyte. As the body was being taken care of, the sanguinary priest that was with Dante had taken him away to celebrate. Soon after that, the training of the Blood Angels would begin for the newly reborn Dante and his new battle brothers of the chapter. As Dante went through his training, he gained new knowledge of the traditions of the Blood Angels and the flaws that the Blood Angels have. He learned the 5 angelic graces and warrior virtues. During his training, he and his new brothers trained in artistry first, with the master of artistry, Brother Calfel. One time, he looked at Dante's drawings, and he saw the Sanguinor and asked where he saw this being, and he told his teacher of seeing him on his journey. His teacher took him to a chapel and told him to wait, where he met with the chaplain who oversaw his group of aspirants, Malafel, and told Dante the story of Sanguinor. He then told him about Dante's time in the coffin, saying how he almost had to kill him due to him thinking he fell to the black rage, but he did not. He continued saying that Dante was the first aspirant to do something like that for the first time in the chapter's history, and many questioned if he would come out of the coffin, saying, the neophyte and the chaplain walked to a secret area of the fortress monastery and showed him a feather of Sanguinus that Nasir Amit, who had later started the Flesh Tearers chapter. After they talked about the chapter's flaw, he told them not to speak of this to anyone. Dante continued through training and he started going on deployments with his chapter alongside his group that he transcended with, including Lorenz, Riston, and a few others. During a mission as a scout in the 10th Company, his sergeant asked what the plan of attack was against the Greenskins. He was given his first task of being a leader. He led his battle brothers into the fight and succeeded in a fight against the orcs. During the battle, they viewed the Sanguinor helping other battle brothers in the battle against a bigger part of the Orc warband. It was the first time that Scout Dante had viewed the Sanguinor in his life, but it would not be the last. As years went on, he witnessed and fought on different worlds and war zones. During one of the war zones, he witnessed one of his battle brothers slowly fall into the Black Rage. Dante and his brother were able to reconnect with their chapter. But during the time they fought alongside the surviving people of the Hive against the Nurgle-infected traitor Marines, the Purge warband, Dante lost control to the Red Thirst and slaughtered everything in his path, except the leader of the Hivers and his battle brother. During his rage, he encountered the Sanguinor again, who helped him become calm. After the battle, Dante realized that he would need to control himself from the thirst. Dante eventually became the chapter master after 500 years of service. For the next 1,000 years, he has served as the chapter master. At this point, chapter master Dante has been burdened with the duties of the chapter and the people under the protection of the Blood Angels. At this point, everyone respects Dante because of the feats of leadership and strategy of war. But everyone becomes overburdened. Even the Space Marines grow tired of their burdens. Around 998 M41, Dante and the Blood Angels finished a campaign against the Tyranids' splinter fleet, and they realized that the Tyranids were slowly moving towards Baal. And the Blood Angels knew this and talked about the defense. And due to the small numbers they would have, they decided to call all chapters of the Sons of Sanguinius to aid them in the defense of Baal, because if they fell, the southern part of the Imperium would be open for attack from the north. Now, let's go over the first two tips we can learn from Dante. The first trait that makes Dante a good inspiration for us is kindness, and you can see it in his actions and the word he says. For example, during the trials, you could see Dante be kind to his fellow aspirants throughout the trials. His kindness was able to give people a sense of respect toward him, even if they didn't show it. He even made another friend with Lorenz, a fellow aspirant who was rude to Dante when they first met, and now respects Dante and was one of Dante's closest battle brothers. He then had to fight his friend Florian, who was going to kill Dante to get into the chapter, to not serve but to cure his illness that was killing him. But Dante refused because Florian saved him and helped him get to Angel's Fall. And if it was another aspirant, I think that one of them would be dead, but it was a test made for Dante to show who he is. Malafel even said after Dante refused to kill Florian that if he killed his friend, he would have not passed the trial and would become a guardian of the place of challenge burdened by his mistake. The trial of Horus is about testing loyalty and brotherhood of the aspirants. As Dante went on to serve in the Blood Angels during different campaigns, he served the people of the Imperium, being kind to the people who have suffered. One of his blood thralls, Arafio, who served as Dante's personal thrall for decades and who was old but still served. But instead of Dante treating him as a lesser being as some other Space Marines would have, he cared for the old man, even helping him on some occasions. But nothing ever ends well in this universe, and for when Dante confessed his burdens and mistakes to his old friend and servant, he slit his wrist and begged for his lord to drink his blood, so he can continue on in the service of the Emperor and its people. Dante tried to help his friend, but in the end, Dante agreed in his friend's last moments and drank his blood. After the death of Arafio, Dante felt saddened, because the last conversation the two had was like a comforting one for Dante, as well as the old man. As he put his dead friend down after the blood drinking, he wiped the tears from his eyes because of what he did. The tip from this is even if you are above someone in money, skills, status, being kind to people works wonders. The second thing that I learned from Dante is his determination, and he showed it even before the trials. His father told him that he wouldn't become a blood angel because he was too small and not strong enough due to the brutal wars that the Space Marines fought in. After he heard that, he was determined to prove his father wrong and become a blood angel, not because he wanted glory or praise. It is because he wanted to help people. Dante then left his tribe and his father behind for his dreams of becoming an angel of the Emperor. And of course, Dante struggled to get to the proving grounds due to his smaller size and his weakened body. But somehow he kept going. But he did have help when he encountered the Sanguinor for the first time, as Dante was close to death, near the great salt waste sedge. He fought a patch spider which could kill an adult, and he fought off a small fire scorpion with Florian and Daniel. He then went to the proving grounds and saw the Blood Angels for the first time and was in awe. He walked up to the sanguinary priest and the chaplain to be observed and judged into the ranks of the aspirants. As the priest asked them, "Are you scared?" Dante told he was, and the priest acknowledged his honesty and bravery, and asked why he wanted to join the chapter. And he spoke of serving the Emperor, and if he served him, he would serve the Imperium through the Emperor. He was put in the group of aspirants, and the training began. And the determination was still there for Dante as he grew in his mind and body, becoming stronger than ever before. And he started proving his father's words wrong. During the trial of war, he was selected to be the leader of his group because he didn't use brute strength. He used his mind to solve things. The group passed and outmaneuvered the brash and dull group they fought against. Again, Dante's determination continued to rise as he got closer to becoming a space marine, and it excelled when he finished the trials of the gene implant surgery and the 1 year slumber in the sarcophagus. A tip I learned from this is determination on something important to you. But people think you need to only use your body for that. But you don't need to muscle through it all the time. But determination requires the mind and body working in unison toward a goal. Now, those are the first two tips from Dante. Now, let's continue the story of the Lord Commander as he and his brothers raced to Baal to prepare the defense against the great devourer. The preparation for the defense of Baal was a massive one, which had Dante call the sons of Sanguinius to the defense of their Gene Father's adoptive homeworld, and in force they did. The forces of the Space Marines had enough to destroy entire star systems, with 27 chapters of the Sons of Sanguinius, with, if not all, then most of their available chapter. Dante held council with the chapter masters on which ones would defend the other planets of Baal. They had to defend the Arx Angelicum no matter the cost. The population of Baal were conscripted in the fight because the people would not give up their home to the Tyranids, and this invasion was the biggest hive fleet that the Imperium had encountered. The battle began in orbit of Baal, with fleets of cruisers and battle barges firing weapons into the oncoming Tyranid bioships. They launched nukes at the fleet, destroying some bigger ships and a lot of smaller ships. As the space battle kept going, the Imperium did its work, but it eventually failed, and the bioships of the Tyranids swarmed the Imperial ships. Then the drop pods of the Tyranids started falling, blotting out the sun. As the Space Marines watched the Tyranids land onto Baal, the Marines revved their chain blades and readied their bolters for the biggest battle Baal had ever seen. The ground fighting was the worst because the waves of Tyranids grew bigger from the last, and the amount of bodies that lay in the desert wasteland of Baal and the two moons was massive. Commander Dante stayed on the Arx Angelicum to be at the most vital area to the defenders. The Tyranids and Blood Angels fought in a bloody hand-to-hand combat, with blades and talons slicing into flesh, and the Sons of the Angels held the swarm back for a time, but eventually fell. As the battle went on, whole chapters started to die out during the battle, including the chapter masters, and many Blood Angels fell to the Black Rage during the battle, feeling the bloodlust in their veins, their eyes shifting from their vision to the vision and memory of the final battle between Horus and Sanguinius, and unleashed their fury upon the invading Xenos army, helping their fellow brothers pull back to reinforce before the next wave. Now it gets interesting, as the battle was nearing its end, and while Dante fought the Swarm Lord, he was able to kill the Lord, but was wounded due to the fight. But the Knights of Blood, a renegade chapter, held back the tide of Tyranids, while Gabriel, Seth, and the Flesh Terrors and Dante fell back to the inner part of the fortress, and their sacrifice was honored at the end. As the Blood Angels prepared for their deaths, the Tyranids didn't come. They just stopped. The Blood Angels were confused and continued to fight against the beasts that were in front of them. Hope finally came from the void, and it was the newly resurrected Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, and the massive fleet at his back, which was the Indominus Crusade, and they slaughtered every single Tyranid in the area of Baal and the surrounding planets. But the Primarch came to save his brother's sons from doom. As the Primarch landed on Baal at the Arx Angelicum and met the battered Blood Angels and their successor chapters, as well as Dante, and his brothers knelt before Rebute, seeing him as the son of the Emperor. But the crazy thing was that Guilliman told him to rise because of the reputation of Dante that Guilliman had heard about as the chapter master, and said, "You have earned your right to talk to me on equal terms." Which goes to show how legendary Dante is. Dante and Guilliman rebuilt the Arx Angelicum, with Guilliman giving him the Primaris Marines to fill the Blood Angels and successor chapters. Now, let's talk about how and why the Tyranids just stopped coming. As the Blood Angels rebuilt the fortress, they saw the mark of Khorne on the barren moon of Baal Prime, which was made from the skulls of Tyranids that fought on the moon. And it was Kabunda, a bloodthirster, and a bludgeoning legion of Khorne that killed every being on the moon. Kabunda even said to the chief librarian who opened a portal, and he could see that Kabunda was trying to break through in a way to wipe out the Hive Fleet. But it didn't work. That it was the duty of Kabunda to kill the sons of Sanguinius. And he sort of helped fight the Hive, but they also fought the Blood Angels. That's how the Mark of Khorne came to be on the moon of Baal. Dante also came out of the battle changed, because he came so close to death after his fight with the Swarm Lord. He realized he felt relief that he was finally going to die, but sadly, Dante had been sent back by the soul of his gene father, Sanguinius. Dante still serves as the chapter master of the Blood Angels, and now is the Imperial Regent of Imperium Nihilus. He was given that duty by Rebute Guilliman because he trusts that the Blood Angels will carry out this duty for the Imperium, transforming the Arx Angelicum and Baal into a bastion and an outpost to the Imperial North. He has recently crossed the Rubicon Primaris and has fought against the demon Primarch Angron. Dante has met the Lion and told him about his brother Rebute being resurrected. The Lion even thought to himself that Dante looks like his long dead brother Sanguinius, but if his brother looked like an old man. Now, this is the end of major lore on Dante and his service and the Blood Angels and the Imperium. Now, let us finish up what we can learn from Dante. The third thing I learned from Dante is self-control. Dante is able to control himself in the midst of battle, and his ability of keeping the red thirst under control and not consuming blood from a living being, but only drinking wine spiked with blood. After a few centuries, he drank the blood of his personal blood-thaw, Arafio. He did regret drinking the blood of his friend, but it did regain his strength from it, and he felt the weight he carried become a little lighter. Another part of Dante is that he just doesn't go into battle without control. He sees the options in combat and puts him and his brothers in positions where they are able to win without having a bigger risk of losses during combat. I learned that having self-control is a very important thing in life and in making choices, because our emotions can blind our judgment. If we take the emotions we are feeling and transfer it into energy required to make a reasonable choice when we are required to, it will help with the decision making due to the self-control. A tip for how to do it is to analyze the situation at hand and look at the factors in the problem, and then break down the choices that you have. But you must look at all factors of the choices that are presented to you. Also, controlling your mind and body is a good start because the body communicates to you in different ways. Say you are trying to lessen your screen time and you have started a better habit, and then your brain says, "Oh, you work so hard for yourself. You should watch TV or something." I'm not saying to watch TV anymore or whatever you do, but set a goal of, say, you only want to watch TV for 1 hour per day, but only if you have completed your task that can help you on your journey. The brain doesn't like to do hard things because it requires energy. So, say you are doing something that is hard, like if you start lifting weights and doing hobbies that require effort, then your brain will say, "This is hard, let's just watch TV." And you immediately listen to your brain. Then your brain has won. Same with the body. If you don't challenge your body in different physical activities, then your body won't be able to do some of the harder stuff that you would like to do. But be reasonable of what your body can take in the moment. If you have a problem in your body, please talk to your doctor about what you can do to move your body in a healthy way. But don't make it hard on yourself for the first time, because mistakes are common in growing. That is what I've learned from Dante and self-control. And now I'll move on to the last thing I have learned from the Lord Commander. Dante is known for having a good reputation as the chapter master, and now as the imperial regent of Imperium Nihilus. When people are around him, they respect him for what he has done during his service in the Imperium. Many times during his leadership, he has helped evacuate people during massive sieges. He has saved multiple planets in the name of the Emperor due to his morals as a space marine, because space marines are not really known for caring for people. They protect to some degree, but not as much as the salamanders in a few other chapters. Dante is known as having the light side of Sanguinius, and the people think that this is a weakness, but in reality, it is a strength. And Dante can be cruel when it is needed, but he always puts saving the people of the Imperium and on the planet if it is on the table. But if not, he outsmarts every Xeno and traitor space marine. What I got from him is that having a good reputation of being a gentle person, but being a person who can serve and help people. What I'm trying to say here is to be a good person, but don't be a doormat and let people walk all over you, and stand up for yourself and other people. That's what makes a good reputation. Also, a big part of having a good reputation is being yourself and changing yourself for the better, and striving for your better self. And learning from your mistakes is what makes people think well of you. But in the end, it is your choice, because it is your life. But with that being said, I thank you for watching the video all the way through to the end. And I hope you have learned something new from Dante that can make you go for your goals. In the next video, will discuss the last blood angel at the moment, and that will be Mephiston, the son of the angel that conquered the Black Rage. If you have enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment on the video. If you want to see more, subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified when a new video pops up. Thank you guys, and may Sanguinius smile upon you. This is Historica Vertica, signing off.